I'm your host, Jeff Sart. We're going to take you behind the scenes with the craft distillers who are pouring their heart and soul into crafting the next version of America's spirit. This is the Great American Whiskey Cookers. On this episode of the Great American Whiskey Cookers, Cedar Ridge faces a historic flood that threatens the business. Then, an inland hurricane called the Derecho takes aim at the Midwest. Murphy, Quint, and Jamie Siefken describe some of the challenges and how they have succeeded.
I've recently started presenting to certain societies and stuff, kind of the history of Cedar Ridge. And during the time where I've been developing this presentation for these people, I've gone over a lot of the most problematic times in the history of this company.
Sure.
And there's been a few waves where things got really difficult, but what's unique to what we do is that during those waves, that's actually where we're at our best. That's where we grow the most. When our back is up against the wall, that's usually when we really push and succeed, which kind of makes us different than a lot of other businesses and something that I'm really proud of. In 2008, there was a significant flood in the state of Iowa. Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, many other areas in Iowa got hit really hard too, but our original business was actually downtown Cedar Rapids, and it got flooded, took on 4.5 feet of water, and devastated pretty much everything. Like I said, we were much smaller back then. It was pretty much my parents, me, and my cousin at that point, and a couple other guys. But we had to decide basically whether or not we even wanted to reopen, whether or not we wanted to kind of reinvest in this thing and keep the dream alive, or just wash our hands and walk away.
I remember that.
And yep, and so that was probably the most difficult time, either that or the pandemic. But like I said, a lot of great things came out of that. I mean, once that flood happened and it devastated our original business, that's when we moved out to Swisher. That's when awesome people like Jamie got involved and really took it to the next level. And the pandemic was no different. I mean, we had a brief moment where we started to panic and how are we going to get through this? So I'd say, yeah, the time when we couldn't get the bottles, that was all very pandemic related. We couldn't access the bottles. We were producing a ton of hand sanitizer because our restaurant operation, our front of house, it was all closed down, and we needed a different form of revenue. So we actually produced 8 truckloads of hand sanitizer, sold it all over the country. So there was a lot going on that was very complicated. I would say that would be up there. And like I said, anytime our back is up against the wall, that's usually when we start to succeed.
So from a sourcing perspective and cost of goods and just getting that in, did you experience any type of problems during the pandemic in getting your bottles and getting the source?
Who did it?
Who
did it?
Yeah, who didn't? Tell us a little bit about that. What was that like?
Yeah, to Jamie's point, I mean, everyone did. I mean, even some of the big players like the legacy brands, they were switching bottles, which normally that's a death sentence for a brand to switch packaging. You don't want to do that, but there was a point where literally everyone just had to. For us in particular, for me in particular, that might have been my least favorite point of my entire career.
Really?
Because we actually, believe it or not, during that point, we had some really good things going on brand development. As far as sales growth goes, our sales volume was really increasing at that point in time. And so, yeah, our whole team of sales, marketing, even guys like Jamie over here, they had things really rolling. We wanted to keep things moving, but I could not get bottles. And that's my job, is to bring in all the packing supplies and things like that. And I could not access our bottles because all the shipping lines, all the freight lines, specifically ocean freight, it was all just kind of on hold and shut down. So I would call our bottle supplier and say, hey, I need our bottles. And he'd say, well, hey, there's nothing I can do. They're on the ocean and they're stuck there. So that's just how it was. And it was just an absolute nightmare. Like we had people wanting to buy the product. We had the product ready. We just could not get it in a bottle, and it was really stressful.
And I think it was actually, our custom bottle that we have now, it's a slight variation. You guys are kind of touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
Slight variation from our original package, our original bottle, right? So, I mean, honestly, it kind of helped us because those were a little bit more accessible than our custom, right?
Sure.
And so I would say that someone that drinks Cedar Ridge a lot definitely knew, right? But again, it wasn't completely crazy different, right? And so it was, trying to find a little bit of optimism, I guess, in the crazy time for Murphy and everyone else trying to get packaging right. But
yeah, Jamie's exactly right. That was one advantage to being like that sub-custom bottle. I mean, it is custom, but there's also generic bottles out there that look fairly similar.
Right.
So eventually we were able to find some of those and keep things moving and keep things going, which was great, but it was stressful.
A couple years ago, and people outside of Eastern Iowa probably don't know this, or they have, because it's never made the news for a lot of areas. A couple years ago, we had something here in Eastern Iowa called the Derecho.
Yes.
Did that affect you guys at all?
I'll let you go first, Keith.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was, we were all at work, and I just remember, like, when you bring that word up, it's, I wasn't ready for it, so, but it's, we sat in the offices for a few hours and watched some pieces of roof, fly across the parking lot, sparkling, and I was like, that this could really hurt someone. But, we had some damage out here for sure. Like we had some roofs that needed to be repaired and some gutters and some things. But, I live in Cedar Rapids, and I know all of us, it was more at home that, and so like, yeah, we're a big family out here at Cedar Ridge. So like, everyone was hurting with just trying to get stuff taken care of at their house and their family and all that kind of stuff. And I just remember trying to get home that day. It was just, a rat maze, right? Trying to get home through all the trees and back to our house. But we were fortunate out at Cedar Ridge, that's for sure. But yeah, that was 2020 when it was just like, it was one thing after another. So
yeah,
yep. That was almost exactly 3 years ago. And to Jamie's point, really the hardest part was balancing everyone's personal lives with what's happening here, because we really all needed to help here because things were falling apart here from the Derecho as well. But more importantly was everyone's family's at home, everyone's property at home, and is that okay? So kind of balancing that was very difficult. But I remember in our headquarters office, we got wind, the sirens, literally got wind. The sirens started going off and we all huddled in the bathroom together. And we could just hear this wham, wham from the ceiling, or from the roof rather. And I remember being in there like, the roof's gotta be gone. There's no way that there's still a roof, because it was so loud. When we came out, luckily it was still there, but the steel had lifted up and it was just slamming against the wood on the roof. And it caused a lot of problems though. Like I said, it was exactly 3 years ago, so it was harvest time. And that was a real bummer, because we were expecting a really good crop that year. We had a lot of grapes on the vine, and the wind blew a lot of them off that year. So it, caused a lot of property damage and things like that. But luckily, every employee we had was fine. Everyone's property at home was at least repairable, and everyone was safe.
So where do they find you? How does somebody get in touch with you?
CedarRidgeDistillery.com is our website, first and foremost, right? Tons of product information, all kinds of different stuff that we have going on. Visit a distillery, get tours, all that kind of stuff. Instagram is probably our best place, in my opinion, to follow, especially if you're a whiskey fan, to kind of see everything that Murphy and his team doing. That's at Cedar Ridge, Iowa. Murphy has got a page as well, so I'm not sure if he wants to pitch that or,
But I have my own little Instagram account. I just do some behind-the-scenes stuff, kind of bringing light to production. So at Murphy Quint on Instagram if you want to check that out. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hey, I'm Jeff Sart for the Great American Whiskey Cookers. For Murphy, Jamie, thank you guys for this discussion and talking about Cedar Ridge. You can find us at thegreatamericanwhiskeycookers.com. So until next time, keep it good, be good at it. See ya.